If you're involved in trucking today, sooner or later you're going to have to face the fact that part of your daily routine is going to be dealing with electronic logs. If it's not in your truck already, believe me, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. That's just the way the industry is going to go. There's no fighting it. So rather than fight it and fight a losing battle, I feel as a group we may as well understand it and use it for what it's good for. Use it to our advantage. Ann Farrow and her group up at Capitol Hill can never truly understand our job because they couldn't possibly do it. So the best they can do is try to make it as safe as possible for everyone involved. That's their mandate. They need to make it safer for us as truckers, and they need to make it safer for the general driving public. It's not that she's out to put us out of business. She's just doing the best that she can with what she's got to work with. And we're just going to have to learn to adapt to that. I've heard guys say, you know, we as professionals have enough common sense to know when we're tired and to know when we need to stop and sleep. Well, for some of us, yes, that's true. But common sense isn't a requirement of getting a commercial driving license anymore. It used to be, but it's not anymore. And proof of that is these guys, you see them every day on the highway, and they're driving and texting or driving and watching movies. So you can't rely on everyone to have that common sense. And Farrow and her gang can't pick out the pros from the idiots. So they've got to mandate this for everybody. So in a way, we've kind of done it to ourselves. These huge carriers that have 1,000 trucks, they've got seats to fill. They've got to hire the morons and the rookies. That's just what they're doing. And they've got to have a way to babysit them, sadly. And the electronic logs is part of that program, babysitting the idiots and the rookies. So it's just going to be a fact of life in our industry. There are some advantages to it. I feel, since I was completely opposed to it, frankly, at first, but I've learned that there are advantages to it. You get a good solid sleep every night, and God forbid, if you're in an accident, the electronic log will show law enforcement and the court system that you were doing what you were supposed to be doing. And the accident hasn't been triggered by you. It's not your fault. And the logs can show that sometimes. It's a good thing. Happily these days, there are trucking companies out there with dispatchers and management teams that have some common sense. And they know that it's impossible to apply the letter of the law every day in every case with these electronic logs. There are managers out there that realize that the schedule that they've put you on may run you out of hours in the slums of Chicago, so you're sleeping on a ramp for 10 hours. And they realize that that's just not safe and that's just not practical. It's safer to sneak to the truck stop than to sleep on a ramp. And the good trucking companies have people that recognize those facts of life. So you've got to work with them, and they'll work with you. The ones that draw a hard line and say, no, this is the way it is, aren't going to be able to keep drivers, because it's impossible on these things to function to the letter of the law every day. And the companies are going to have to learn to work with you and work with the DOT. And if the end result is that, hey, that DOT officer thinks you should have stuck to the letter of the law, you're going to get a fine. That's just going to be part of the business these days, because it's impossible to do it perfectly. It's a given with these things, and with the new hours of service, that you're just going to make less money every day. It's just there's no avoiding it. And companies are going to have to find a way to compensate you for that loss of revenue and that loss of time. They're going to have to pay you by the hour when you're sitting at docks, and they're going to have to raise your mileage rate to compensate for the money lost because of these rules. The good companies are doing that. If the company that you're with now isn't doing that and doesn't plan to, it's time to find a new company. They need you worse than you need them. Well, certainly there's going to be an adjustment period as the industry gets used to having to utilize these new tools and obey these new rules. So, yes, there are flaws. There are going to be appointments missed and mistakes made. That's just going to be part of the deal, and the trucking companies are going to have to learn to roll with that. But everybody's going to have to learn to roll with it. Shippers, receivers, everybody, because it's just going to be mandated upon us. There are guys that say, hey, if the trucking industry goes that way, then I'm out. Well, you may as well get out, because there's no changing it. It's coming.